All right, my angelic baby kittens, my ABKs, my beautiful besties, we are back with episode 30, my month with the billionaire. So this bitch Dana has just said that she believes that it is time that little old me goes home. And I'm like, what the hell? I literally look at her, I'm like, what are you talking about? Before I can even register and go off on her, I hear behind me, what the fuck? I turn around and it is my girl, baby Kristen, and she has clearly just rolled out of bed because she is in a super oversized t-shirt, some like boys boxers. Her hair is in a top knot, messy little bun. She's got like one eye open, and next to her is Cutie J's shirtless with a body that could be sculpted by the gods, and boxers that are so tight that I can see everything that God and Brazil has given to him. And I am like, God bless Brazil, because I don't know what the hell they're feeding all over there, but Gisele Bündchen, Adriana Lima, genetics in Brazil, clearly the universe or God or whoever created the creation spent a little more time over there. Because I was like, good for you. Okay, Kristen, good for you, girl. Good for you, girl. This is something I got to take note and say congrats to later. But I'm like, we're all looking at each other. And Kristen's like, what the fuck did you just say to her? And Dana was like, this doesn't concern you, Kristen. And Kristen's like, the fuck it does. And I'm like, yeah, that's my like road bitch. Like, of course it concerns her. And Harley's like, Dana, relax, let's talk about this later. No need to get into that now. And she was like, no, Harley, I have been thinking about it, and I do believe that your hindrance in your recovery lately, you're spiraling, like you haven't had a meltdown in such a long time, and clearly this is the reason. So I believe that there need to be boundaries in place, and Miss Cat, it's probably time for her to leave. I'm like, first of all, girl, you want to talk about boundaries? Let's talk about boundaries. You're the one that doesn't know about boundaries. I lose my shit, y'all. Your girl is a Sagittarius sun and a very Scorpio moon. So I have deep emotions and I have a very reactive attitude. So I was like, Dana, you do not want me to get into all the things that are wrong in your corner of boundaries and your professionalness, because you work for this man and you on the daily are crossing boundaries. I am dating this man, so I am out here doing exactly what I need to be doing. So I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And she was like, no, there are clear boundaries that are being crossed by you and the people in this house. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, Harley, I need to talk to you in private. And Kristen's like, no, like you don't need to talk to him in private. Like anything you can say it here. And everyone's just kind of standing around. And then we hear Gabby come out of her room and she's kind of like, good morning. And she's like, what in God's name did I just like walk into? Because it literally looks like that Spider-Man meme where it's like all the Spider-Mans pointing at each other. Like we're all just like, who's going to say something next, you know? And I'm like, no, Dana, say it. Like, what do you need to say? You can say it to me in front of him and you can just go ahead and tell all of us, tell the class what your problem is. Harry's like, Kat, no, it's okay. Like, I'll talk with Dana later. Like, you don't have to leave. You know, it's fine. Dana, like, I will talk to you later. And she looks at me and she just goes, Kat, I'm going to give you one more chance. Why don't you go ahead and talk to me in private and I'll give you the chance to leave with your dignity. I'm like, what the hell is this bitch talking about? And then I realized, fuck, Chef Drew. And I was like, no, Dana, go ahead. Say what you're going to say. I'll own up to literally anything that I've done. Go ahead. How did I cross the boundary? And she goes, well, last night I looked out my window into the yard because you guys were being very loud and boisterous. Because as you know, my bedroom window faces the outside. And I saw Kat and Chef Drew making out. Y'all, Chef Drew, I could feel the panic rising off of his pores and the sweat starting to pour out. I didn't even have to look at him. And I felt his energy go like, God damn it. And his back was turned and he turned around and I was looking at Harley and Harley was looking at both of us. And Harley just goes, what? Dana, come on. And I just go, no, Harley, I will tell you exactly what happened. And Dana's like, please go ahead. I said, if you must know, Harley, I was mad at you, and so I was out there and I got drunk and they had a pen and I didn't want to smoke like the full puff, and I always take shotguns when I do it off my friend because then that way it can be filtered through them and I'm not taking as big of a hit. And that's what happened. I completely take responsibility. I realized that it was inappropriate. I put Chef Drew in an awkward position like he didn't want to, and it's completely on me, and I'm really sorry that I disrespected you in your house. I was actually going to tell you, but we absolutely did not make out, like literally at all. And Harley's like, what is a shotgun? And I was like, Kristen, come here. And Kristen walks over. I was like, it's literally like this. And Kristen goes, I go like this. And then I go to her and she pretends to blow the smoke in my mouth. I was like, that's literally it is. Like, you just suck the air out of the person. And Harley's kind of sitting there looking, And he looks over at Chef Drew and he's like, Chef, is that what's happened? And Chef Drew's looking at me and I'm like, brother, take the win. I'm taking the L for you. Play along. I'm looking at him like this. Like, your job is on the line, sir. And he was like, yeah, that's what happened. And I'm sorry, Harley. Like, we were just all having a good time. It truly meant nothing. Like, you know how much I love my fiance and I would never do anything just disrespectful to you. And Dana was like, no, I know what I saw. And I saw y'all kissing. I'm like, no, you didn't. And Kristen's like, shut up. And I'm like, yeah, that's not what happened. And Kristen's like, Maria was there. And Maria's over there, you know, rearranging flowers. Like, why are y'all bringing me into this? And Maria was like, yes, I was there. And Harley's like, all right, Maria, you're a third party bystander. And Maria was like, I don't know what I saw. And we're like, Maria! And she was like, I can tell you this though, they did not make out. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And he goes, but y'all basically kissed. And I was like, well, it was less of a kiss and more of like a Hoover thing. And Harley just goes, I need to go. I need to take a shower and get ready and we need to go, Dana. I'm like, Harley, are you okay? And he goes, I need to go shower now. He just turns around and walks up the stairs. I'm looking at Kristen like, uh-oh. And Kristen's looking at me like, this does not look good. I'm looking at Dana like, I am going to pummel this woman. Dana turns and she's about to start walking to follow him. And I just get in front of her. And I was like, Dana, I don't think you want me to tell the class of all the inappropriateness that you have caused with Harley. And I also don't think that the people that you work for would probably also be happy with some of the things with Harley. And she just looks at me dead in the face, y'all. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, don't worry, I fucking have your number, girl. She just like turns around and she walks over and Kristen walks up and Kristen's like, what the fuck? What a bitch. And I'm like, dude, I am like seeing red. I am so angry and I wanted to tackle her from the back and show her the rugby moves that I have learned from watching rugby players on YouTube, okay? Which, by the way, if you're ever in a bad mood, ladies and gays, great way to pass the time. I look at Chef Drew and I'm like, I'm sorry. And he's literally not even worried. He's just like, girl, it's fine. And he's just like, thank you. And I'm like, yeah, you're fine. And Kristen's like, okay, what do you want to do? I'm like, girl, I gotta go. I gotta like go to my hotel. I gotta do stuff. I have to go to some casting. What are you gonna do? And she was like, I gotta go to my parents' house and check in on them. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go to the hotel. I'm going to figure out what is going on and then we'll reconvene later. Cause it seems like Harley is probably not gonna talk. She was like, yeah, when he gets like this, he's not gonna wanna talk. Just like give him time and I will try to scope out the scene. I'll try to catch him before he leaves and I'll text you and let you know what's going on. I'm like, okay, great. Gabby's just standing there still in her like cute little onesie that she slept in, just like, can I get some coffee? I get out of the Mansion of Madness, I hop in my little Audi, and I drive back to the Pendry. I do a workout there, I do my work, I go to my castings, and I'm just kind of like doing work on the computer and my phone, and I text with Kristen, and she says that she tried to catch Harley on his way out the door, and he literally was like, not now, Kristen, and ran out the door. And I'm like, I haven't heard from him all day, and she was like, yeah, neither have I. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna give him some time to cool down, and then if I haven't heard from him by like dinner, then I will text him. So I'm just kind of like around. I go meet up with some friends. I do some shopping. I run some errands. I come back to the hotel, the Pendry, and I still haven't heard from him. And it's about 6 p.m. And usually around 5 or 6 is when he would already be texting me before that about dinner and stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call this man. I call him. He doesn't answer. I'm like, okay, so clearly he's mad or he's just busy. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading into it, but it doesn't really help that he spent the entire day with diabolical Dana and she's just been probably feeding in his ear like, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, bad idea, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I should call Carol, check in on Mr. Harley and see how things are going over there and see if maybe they've seen Harley. So I call Carol and she's like, hi, sweetie. I'm like, Carol, how's Mr. Harley doing today? And she was like, oh, he's pretty tired today actually because he had a massage this morning and his physical therapist came to take him out into the pool and do exercise with him. So he usually gets really tired after that, but he's in a pretty good mood. And she was like, how are you doing? How's the things over the mansion? And I'm like, girl, I'm actually at the Pendry still. And she's like, oh, she's like, how are things with you and Harley? And I'm like, they're okay. I'm like, has he been over there? And she was like, no, not at all. I haven't even heard from him. I'm like, oh, okay. And she was like, but Mr. Harley was asking about you. So when do you think you can stop by again? I was like, probably in a couple days. Like, I'll let you know. She's like, okay, great. I'm texting with Kristen and some of my friends. And I'm like, look, if I'm not going to be with Harley, then I'm probably going to go meet up with some friends for dinner or whatever. And so I'm letting Kristen know that if she wants to come out with my friends, she can. And as I'm doing that, I get a call from old daddy Harley. I answer and I'm like, hey. And he's like, hey, are you at the hotel? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, okay, great, I'm valeting my car and then I'm gonna be up. What's your room number? I'm like, wait, you're at the Pendry? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So I give him my room number and he's like, okay, I'll be up in a sec. I call Kristen and I'm like, girl, Harley's here. She's like, Harley's where? I'm like, at my hotel. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, girl. And she's like, ew, is he with Dana? I'm like, girl, I don't know. He just told me that he is valeting and that he's coming into the Pendry. She's like, okay. I'm like, I guess he wants to talk, so I'll let you know how it goes. Hopefully he doesn't murder me. And she was like, okay, well, keep me updated. I'm like, okay. I hear him knock on the door. I open the door and there's old daddy Harley and he looks like he has been running around all day. His hair's a little bit mussy and he is wearing his signature gray t-shirt, and this time he is wearing some blue jeans that I actually don't know what the brand is. I'm pretty sure they were like some vintage Levi's, and he was carrying a tan Sandro jacket and wearing some black Converse, and this time some white chrome hearts glasses. I'm like, oh, he's got another pair. He walks in and he's kind of looking around and he's like, oh, this place is nice. He's like, I haven't stayed here in a long time, but it looks like the rooms are still nice, right? Do you like it here? And I was like, yeah, I really do like it here. And he was like, better than my house? And I was like, not necessarily. He's like, okay. And he's just kind of looking around. I'm like, do you want to sit down on the bed and have a chat? And he was like, yeah, no, I'll just pull up a chair. I'm like, okay. So I sit on the bed and then he pulls up the chair that was in front of the desk and he just pulls it up to the bed. And he's just sitting kind of resting on his knees looking at me. And I'm like, talk to me, Harley, how are you feeling? And he was like, well, I punched a dent into the side of the BMW, so the BMW guy is gonna have to come tomorrow and fix that. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, hold on. You were so angry that you walked outside and you punched your car. And he was like, yep. I'm like, Harley, because I shotgunned with Chef Drew? And he was like, yeah, I told you when we first met that the one thing I had was that you could not disrespect me. And I was like, I understand, Harley. And look, I am deeply sorry for any disrespect or uncomfortability that I've caused you. I take responsibility for that. Now, this isn't an excuse, but I was just really mad about seeing you and Dana, and I was hurt and angry that you were acting like it wasn't a big deal, and I should have just talked to you about it. I shouldn't have gone down and reacted that way, and I'm really sorry. And he was like, see, that's the shit that my ex would do. I'm like, Harley, I'm not your ex. We're not even exclusive. We're not even like officially together, you know, we're just kind of in this weird dating limbo courting situation, and I'm really sorry if I made you feel disrespected. And he was like, that's all that happened with Chef Drew. You guys didn't kiss. I was like, no. And he was like, do you find him attractive? And I was like, do you really want me to answer that? And he was like, no. I'm like, okay. We all have eyes. We see the guy, obviously. And he was like, is that the type of man that you want? Like young and built and stuff like that? Like, is that what you're typically into? Or do you usually like older guys? I've never even asked you this. I'm like, I don't have a preference. I just am about connection and the guy. But I am really attracted to successful men, and usually they're older. So I do like men that have their shit together, because I have famously been in relationships in the past with men that I had to help build up into the better versions of themselves. And after my last relationship, I said I wasn't going to do that again. And so I was very attracted to meeting someone like you who's a provider and who can take care of me. And I'm just being honest. He was like, I don't understand what you want from me and what you see in me. I was like, I see that you're kind, I see that you're very generous, and I see that you are a man that is actively trying to better his life and himself. And I like the way you treat me, and I like the way you take care of me. And he was like, is it just the money? Is that just why? And I was like, let me ask you this, Harley. You would never date a woman that you are not physically attracted to, is that right? And he was like, correct. I said, well, how can men expect women to date a man that they're not financially attracted to? I wouldn't be here if I didn't like you as a person and if I wasn't attracted to you. And the way that you move through the world is very powerful and sexy to me. I'm attracted to men that are successful and powerful, and that's just what it is. And he was like, I get that. It's a great answer. And I was like, there is a lot of safety and provision in a man that provides, and I've grown up feeling unsafe a lot of my life. And I think you'll find that a lot of women feel that they want that. They want a provider. They want to feel safe. They want to feel taken care of. They want to feel like the princess. And he was like, I want to take care of you. And I was like, I know, and I feel that, and that's really attractive to me. And he was like, but you don't want to have the sums with me. I was like, Harley, I think that it is very important for you, not even just in your potential relationship or bond with me, that for you and your future in general, that it's important that you're able to develop a really healthy connection one-on-one with someone and have a healthy, intimate relationship with someone without outside forces or anyone, because you being able to be vulnerable with someone just one-on-one when it is just the two of you is really important. And I understand that it makes you feel nervous because it makes you not feel safe because of the way that you grew up, but I'm gonna tell you about me so that you can understand where I'm coming from. And he was like, yeah, I would like to hear more about like your story. I was like, I grew up with a very, very conservative Christian mother who was born and raised in the Philippines, and she moved to America when she was 18 for a better life and to become a nurse. She met my dad at a party in Texas. My dad pursued her really, really heavily, and she did not want to have anything to do with him, but he wore her down and she ended up being with him because she was naive and she didn't know any better, and they got married. Growing up, my dad was a cheater. He was a gambling addict, and we had money growing up from his side of the family because his family's very wealthy. But then when he started gambling and everything, and things started happening with my parents, and they got separated and divorced when I was young, he literally took all his money and disappeared and took my brother and I's trust funds with him. And so then we were struggling just on my mom's salary while she was still sending us to a very expensive private school. Before he left, growing up as a kid, as a young girl, as a small baby girl, baby cat, I suffered from physical, emotional, sexual abuse from him. And it took me many, many years, and it has taken me many, many years continuously to heal from it. It has hurt my intimate relationships with men a lot. And he was like, you were groomed too. And I was like, yeah. And he was like, how is it possible that you are the way that you are now? And I was like, a ton of therapy. And women are built like this. We survive, we are strong, and we do it because we have to. We don't really have a choice. The world hasn't given women a choice. And he just walked over, sat on the side of the bed with me, and he just took my face in his hands, and he just leaned over and kissed me so gently, y'all. Like the most gentle, feathery kiss you've ever had. He was like, I'm so sorry that happened to you. He was like, I'm gonna need the last known address and full name of your father. And I'm like, I know that you have the means to do what you want to do, but trust me, that's my own journey. Don't worry. And he was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, and I'm sorry what happened to you. Like, we both have similar traumas from when we were kids that we didn't deserve. Yours has manifested in a different way than mine. Mine manifested in a way where I didn't understand healthy love or relationships with men. I didn't understand the difference between pure and platonic love and sexual desire. And it made me misunderstand a lot of older relationships when I was young. And it made me do a lot of things that I regret and behave in ways that I regret. Now, I don't believe in regrets really, but there are things that I'm not proud of. And it took me many years to understand and to break that habit of emotional safety linked to sex and power dynamics, and unlearning a lot of behaviors and the way that I accept love that I still have to deal with today. But if I can, you can too. I promise you. And he was like, I'm older than you and I still haven't learned how to do that. And I was like, well, you're a man and you guys are a lot slower than us, but you definitely can learn it. However, you have a lot of outside forces and people in your life that are keeping you down and are feeding into this trauma response and this cycle that you have. And he was like, I have a therapist and all this stuff, you know, like people helping me. And I was like, how often does Dana offer to do this thing with you? Does she understand that that can't happen anymore? And does she understand how unprofessional that is? Like, if her company or the place that you brought her from found out, like, wouldn't they be absolutely just disgusted and horrified, and she would lose whatever license it is that she has? And he was like, oh yeah, nobody can know about that. I do need to start to distance myself from Dana in a lot of the ways where she can just take over professionally and not be so clawed into my life, but I don't know how to do it. And I was like, it's because you have an emotional attachment to her, because she has created this cycle of emotional manipulation with you by creating a trauma loop tied to what you're used to from when you were young, when it first happened. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, don't you see that? And he was like, no, she wouldn't do that to me. She's just trying to help me, and she just does it because she knows that it brings me comfort. I'm like, but that's not what you need, Harley. Like, you need someone that is going to help you break the cycle so that you can have healthy, intimate relationships with people. And he's like, hey, can you just hug me? And I was like, yeah, of course. I go to hug him and he's like, no, can you hug me from the back? I'm like, okay, you want me to big spoon you? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, clearly this is your comfort thing. So he lays down on the bed in our clothes over the sheets. And I'm just like big spooning this man. And sure enough, y'all, after maybe like 30 seconds of us snuggling, old Mr. Sniffles comes out and he just starts crying. And I just held him. And I just truly felt so sad for him because I, on many levels, understand how it feels. And I could tell that he truly didn't understand what he needed to do to get out of this cycle. So, yes, y'all, next episode. What happens next with my night with Harley? Do we go back to the Mansion of Madness? How do we deal with Dana? And does Harley's dad finally go to Vegas? And a couple other notes, y'all, because thank you for people that had alerted me in the comments of a couple things that I accidentally had a Freudian slip. But to be clear, Harley's mother died when he was 18. She got sick around 13 or 14, when he was 13 or 14. She died when he was 18. Dana has 4 kids. She was married twice. The first time she was married is when she had that accident with her first 2 kids when they were in the car, and she got the DUI and the reckless endangerment of a child. And those 2 kids were taken away from her, and she had visitation rights with them, and they are now in their 20s. She got remarried to her current husband, who lives in Chicago, and she had 2 more kids with him, and those are her kids that are 14 and 16. And this husband she is currently separated with. So those are some pieces that I just wanted to clear up. And as always, if you guys have any other questions, you can always say them below in the comments, and I will try to clear up as much as I can and get laser focused on what it is you guys want to know. And then lastly, for anyone that has gone through similar situations as this, or even any essay situations or anything, my heart is so with you. And it is so difficult to go through something so terrible as a child. And I know that a lot of us are looking at the news and these files that are coming out and all these horrific things that we're seeing and that are happening to children. So please take care of yourself. And as someone that is a survivor of this, please message me. My DMs are always open for all of you guys. And if you have questions for me, I'm always open. I am happy to talk about anything that you guys want from me, my healing journey or anything, or if you need advice or you just need a virtual hug. I love you so much, and you are so much stronger than you know. I promise you. I love you, and I see you. Big hug, big kiss.